Good afternoon. Thanks for joining this call.
We are going to cover the various features of ARTis IVF today in this session. So this is what the login screen of ARTis is. As you can see, this is a web-based application. What it means is it's a SaaS application, and it's called cloud application as well, wherein you don't need to maintain any servers at your premises. Your data and application will be running on a cloud-based application, and you will be given a URL. For example, if you see what UAT here, instead of that, you will have your own URL based on your specific request. And the logo here, you see ARTis here as well. We can upload your clinic logo so that you'll have better connect with the patients, right? And login screen, like any other application, it will have a user ID, password, and there's a reset password kind of options, which is fairly simple to use, right? And each user, whether in-house user or patients, they will have login access, and they get to see the features and functionalities based on their profile as per your definition, right? Now, let me log into the application. So when you log into the application, this is the dashboard that you see, okay? And I'll probably take a few minutes to explain all the areas within the dashboard. On top, what you see is the ongoing cycles. This is basically all the patients who are going through various cycles at this point in time. As we all know, ongoing cycle, basically IVF cycles can go on for extended periods, at times weeks, months, and maybe years also. Right, so this showing the currently ongoing cycles is an extremely important feature, especially for the clinic users, doctors, embryologists, and counselors, etc. Right. So if you click on any of these names, it will directly take you to the corresponding case file. For example, if I'm clicking on this patient here, it has taken me to a case file which covers everything about this particular case. We'll come back to this again, but just to highlight, a case file indicates, it displays everything about that patient, entire journey right from the registration to the current date. It also captures the details of the other, partner, basically, right? So IVF being a couple thing, always we track both the patients together as part of one case file. So we'll come back to this again, but if I go back to the dashboard, we've seen the top portion about ongoing cycles. Then the next part is about appointments of the day, right? So if you notice here, there are 3 different doctors, and each doctor has a certain number of appointments. And again, there is each appointment also has different statuses. Basically, when an appointment is scheduled, its status is called scheduled. And when the patient visits the center, right, your front office team can change the status as reported. And then when our consultation starts, it will be changed to something called consultation started and finally completed. That can be achieved simply by clicking on the timestamp button. There's a timer button here. Your PRE or your front desk can actually use a mobile device and just change the status update by simply clicking on this. There's no data entry here because we wanted to keep it simple for the patient relationship person who is moving around the front office area and looking at the patients and take care of their needs, right? So as soon as the patient visits the center, this associate can go and change the status like this. Now, if you notice, the status has changed. The color indicates the status. Now it is no longer scheduled. It is actually now reported. Likewise, whenever the person now gets to go and meet the doctor, this person can actually change the status again to the next available status. That status would be this, in progress. So this is the process. Your front office team, with a simple click of the button, they can actually keep track of the appointment status, so that you are able to calculate the waiting times and consultation times when you do a monthly or weekly analysis. That helps you improve in terms of cutting down waiting times, and thereby essentially making sure your patient satisfaction levels are going up. So once the status is completed, it will move away from this list of things, and you can still see that, for example, this one here, it is already completed. So since it is already completed, your focus is not on that for today. Our focus, your team's focus is going to be more on the currently ongoing open appointments and making sure they are actually flowing through the statuses, right? And next to that is alerts. Alerts are basically created from various places, especially from case files, to track something about a particular patient, any information that is useful for the clinic users, and so that people who are supposed to act on it, they can actually take necessary action based on this alert. Alert creation, we can look at it a little later, but when alerts are created, it can be created so that it is visible to either all people in the sector or certain set of people or a particular one person. All that is possible. It is important to make sure that the data is visible to only relevant people. That's why we put a lot of controls in every screen at a form level, sometimes at a field level itself, we have controls so that nobody gets to see more than what they are supposed to see. Right? And third tab here talks about various action items for this currently logged in user. I logged in right now and I have a task assigned to me by so and so person. Somebody requested something, and I can directly jump onto that page to take action on the task that is assigned to me. And similarly, there can be any number of requests from various people. It could be in terms of some approval of discount, or it could be approval of a GRN, or approval of a purchase order, depending on the role profile of the person. They get to see a lot of action items here. And this acts as a single place for any person to actually go look for their action items. Centers can make it a habit for their senior users to look at this to find out their action items, right? And outbox is similar to this, but this is more of a reversal, right? So basically, whatever I requested for somebody, right, that is visible here in terms of status. And if those are completed by the other person, then it will be moving away from here. But I'll also have an option here to cancel. I've requested something from somebody, but let's say the person is not around, it's not going to happen today. I may want to send it to somebody else. I can recall this and send it to another person. So that essentially is the dashboard which every in-house user gets to see and then take actions depending on their profile. Now we will go to the typical journey of a IVF patient. I'll try to cover that maybe 5 minutes kind of thing, and then we'll take a deep dive into one of the case to capture or cover more aspects of their journey. The typical journey of IVF patient starts with an appointment creation. Right, appointments could be created by a CRM system or a telephone call directly or from your website itself. Sometimes people may be requesting appointments for. Let's assume CRM sent a lead request, and front office person will get to see the appointment screen, something like this, and the front office person can actually select the doctor and a suitable slot, right, depending on patient's comfort. Let's say so this person is slated to come at 3:30, and email is optional. We know email is not really 100% available for most Indians, but if it is available, it's better to add it here because it will help in terms of future correspondence and marketing initiatives. But mobile number is definitely mandatory. Without that, you cannot create an appointment, and provide other details. If there's a lead reference number, basically if it is coming from a CRM system, you can add that, or if it is integrated systemically, then automatically that gets populated here. And what are they coming for? This is a new consultation, and what is the more? This is a web online channel. They reached out to us. Some comments you may want to add it here. Okay. So now we've scheduled an appointment right now, and if I take you back to the dashboard, this will be visible there. So this is the one. Ankita Reddy is an appointment created now for 3:30. And unlike others, you can see a small little register button here. And you can see the comments also here like this, right? And this is for 3:30. The status is scheduled. Let's say now we're at, let's say, 3:15. Okay. Now the patient visited the IVF center. Before that, there's another thing. At this point, when we did a lead appointment, patient gets a SMS and an email, if the email is provided, asking them to do self-registration. Not everybody does self-registration, but those people who are tech savvy can actually utilize that feature and do the self-registration on their mobile device, and straight away come to the clinic with a case file already completed in system, right? Once they register, do a self-registration, they can as well log into their application and then start looking at their information. Although there'll not be much information at that time because first visit is the time when a lot of details are tracked. So assuming now patient visits the center at 3:30 or 3:15, around that time, right? So front office can register the patient by clicking on this and providing the other details. Let's say at the time of registration, a few details are tracked here. One of the key aspect is the referral. I mean, it's a well-known fact that referral doctors play a big role in IVF because most of the time patients go to the gynae doctors, and after 2-3 years of attempts, they then decide to go to an IVF center. So referral doctor is a major channel, and the other two possibilities are word of mouth and marketing. So if not a referral doctor, the next thing is each IVF center does a lot of marketing initiatives, campaigns, and all that. So that's another channel. If you have that, those details are captured upfront in the admin module, and you can select that also. A word of mouth is basically, when the center is really mature and a lot of people come to know about it, it becomes a word of mouth kind of. That's the eventual status, basically. I mean, earlier we moved to a word of mouth is better for you, right? So let me take a referral doctor as an example in this case. So it will ask for which city this doctor is from. I'm selecting some, and if I search for all the available referral doctors, I can see the list of referral doctors here. And if I click on the next, some details which were captured in the appointment are automatically populated here, right? You don't need to retype. You may make some changes if you need to, but otherwise it's there. And
the date of birth is important, so you may update it here. And occupation is the next one. There's a big list of professions. You can select one from that. And email, again, not mandatory, but it's up to your comfort. And you can always add later also. But even other details like national identity for Aadhaar number and things like that also can be updated here. Not mandated, but it's up to your comfort. And you can upload that ID proof and profile picture also here at this time. Okay. I'm not adding, but that option exists for us based on how comfortable we are, right? All these things we can update later also, right? So I'm selecting basically pin code based on which all the areas related to that pin code will show up here. I'm not adding all the details, address details, but these are
optional, but it's up to your comfort. You can either add or leave it. So at this time, this patient, Ankita Reddy, is now a case file is created in the system, which is the next number from the system.
Records, right? And here after this patient for their entire life, with you, right? As long as they are using ARTis, they will be using this reference number for their entire journey. We all know IVF journey is sometimes very lengthy, months and years also, right? So this will go on for a long time if they are going for services, right?
Now, another key aspect of IVF for treatment is it's a couple thing. Most of the time, if they are coming for real cycles, right?
Then you need to track the spouse details as well here. So that is done from this little option here, register spouse, right? Again, similar details, right? I'm selecting date of birth. It's taking some time. So date of birth and other details like occupation, email I'm not taking right now, and other details also. Address, if it is populated for the patient, that gets added up here also. But technically, you can have a different address also. People can be living into different places. Mobile number is mandatory. Okay. Now, the second person is created, and automatically is also linked with the same case file. So as you can see, we've created one patient, Ankita Reddy, originally patient, and then also created spouse, and both are now linked to the same case file number. Like I said, for their entire journey hereafter, we'll be referring to also the case file numbers. You may still create a physical case file and maintain all the documents. In spite of having a system, you will still maintain a physical file, and you may give printouts to the patient and all that. That will continue, but systemically, we are actually making all the data available in the system so that you can actually access whenever you need it. Now the
Next thing that happens is, and before going to the next thing, I just want to show you one thing. ARTis also takes care of billing aspect. When I say billing, one unique thing of this is you don't create bills separately, but it is most of the time it is based on the action that you are performing. For example, what did we do now? We actually created a registration of patient and then spouse. If I go to billing, okay, I already see a bill created there. Okay, this bill number so and so is created today, and if I click on that, it has the details of what is this bill for. Right? This bill is for a service given to them for registration. What is the value? It is MRP is 1, because we created a service called registration, and registration is for 100 rupees, which is pre-configured in the admin module. And based on that, when we did a registration, the service got allocated, a bill got created, and then the billing team can actually do the follow-up steps on that. I'll not cover that right now, but I just wanted to mention this, that all services, whenever added, it creates corresponding bills so that the bills are taken care of by the your billing team. Okay, coming back to the first day visit, the next important thing that happens is history tracking. Okay, you can see the history has 4 separate sections here, and one is when I do the history. If I go to edit mode, this is a very detailed history form, pretty standard form that captures everything relevant about this particular patient in terms of their fertility history. Okay, now it has various sections. Each section can be expanded and relevant details are updated. Not necessary that each field has to be updated for all the patients, but whichever the field is relevant and if the information is available and if you think that is going to be useful, you can update that. The further beyond this history, if anybody needs additional details, that can be configured here. And did we start recording? Okay, so we have seen the history part of it, which is, like I said, it's a standard history and pretty detailed. But beyond that, at times, clinic may want to add something more or something more relevant to them or something more shorter. They can only use that part, not the full history. For that purpose, we have added a configurable part of history, which we call synopsis. Actually, it's basically the good summary of the patient. Beyond the history, which you always would like to be on top of it. For example, it could cover the this previous pregnancy details, if at all any, infertility, how many years they are actually going through this, and sometimes even blood group and things like that also can be captured, viral markers and things like that. Again, these are all configurable. Don't go by what is here. You can always decide how much, what kind of details are more relevant for you to be tracked as part of synopsis. Okay. Now, further down, you have a section for uploading historical investigation. Again, here the patient comes with a lot of older or recent reports. And if you think those are useful to track, that can be easily tracked here. For example, if I had a patient came with a recently conducted image, okay, let's say I add that date. Again, there's no date restriction per se here, but just randomly selecting something. So if it is going to be useful tracking any of these historical investigation, please record that, because it's a one-time task and it's going to be useful for a long time, right? So beyond this, the last thing is about history uploads. Uploads is basically if the patient came with a lot of file, a lot of reports, one can actually scan and upload all this so that you can easily reference them during the course of their journey. So that essentially covers the history tracking, which is the day 1 activity of the patient, and of course spouse as well. So you can easily take half an hour, 40 minutes for both the patient and spouse record, data to be recorded on the day 1 visit. Right, but it is worthwhile tracking the data, because it gives them that confidence that the clinic is very serious about everything. They're tracking everything. These things matter a lot in the long run. So our advice is to track history as much as possible, asking all the right questions, tracking everything, so that it's also going to be useful for your treatment journey, right? And again, this whole task is not done by senior doctor. In general, it may be a counselor or a junior doctor doing the history tracking. But for a clinic, doctor consultant, it is important for them to actually have this data on top. So we kept these, quick links sort of thing in the middle card here. There are these, little links here. By clicking on that, you can actually see the details here. I'll probably show one of the existing case so that you'll see how it looks. We can always come back to Ankita already, but let me go back to an existing case where the data is filled in. So it's like this. You click on the history. My internet is slow. So if the history is filled in to the extent whatever is filled in, that will show up here with the header information. All the reports, you can notice one thing here. This top portion where you see the logo, it is written your logo goes here and your address and details goes here. And the second part is always about the patient details. Sometimes patient and spouse together, and the other report is basically depending on what report you are trying to see, it captures that information. Okay. Similarly, the synopsis also, you can see the full summary here. Okay, so the whole idea is to give a quick link to the doctors and maybe embryologists so that they can see the details at any time without much difficulty of going into some interior places down below, right? So we have now covered so far patient appointment creation, registration process, then day one visit, and what kind of details are tracked as part of day one history. And we also saw how the service addition is translating into billing, right? Okay, now I'd like to go back to the same patient which we created. Let me go back to the dashboard. So we can anyway go back to the dashboard. I mean, this one, initially we had this register button, but now that the registration is complete, that button no longer is relevant. Okay, now we are back in Ankita Reddy's case file, and so far only the registration service is added to this patient. Okay, now let me go to the consultation notes part. As part of the sequence also, once the history is complete, now it goes to the consultation notes process, wherein patient is now in front of the doctor. Doctor actually looks at the case, looks at the details, other past history and all that, and they come up with the advice and what investigation they need to go for, what medication or any other observation that they would like to track, they will add here. Let's say a doctor, after looking at all the reports, they advise them to go for IVF potentially, let's say in next month, and they also advise them to go for, let's say, some investigations, some scans. Let's say. I'm just taking one or two examples here, but there can be any number of investigations added. Let's say some medication. And observations is another thing where we wanted to, provide a list of pre-formatted, phrases and strings which are repeatedly used by doctors. Again, these observations can be given by your doctors so that their consultation process becomes easier. For example, if I'm selecting ovarian reserve and repeated failures and PCOD condition, and it will also give you the possible values there. Let's say it's a very low ovarian reserve, repeated 3 times a year failed, and PCOD, it's a mild PCOD condition, I'm saying. And beyond that, one can actually write additional details also. So some details are added here. Okay, now you can see the details are captured here. Okay, so what you can see here is observations, medications, investigations, scans, and treatment advice. Everything is written here. Okay, now when the doctor does this thing, right, it also takes care of few other things. I'll elaborate that. For example, if the doctor has added IVF as an advice of the patient to go for, it will create something called a treatment advice report. I'll come to that here. If I come to the treatment, the patient journey, treatment advice got created here with a pre-formatted template, which is automatically visible to your counselor, and they are now expected to talk to the patient and couple actually, and all possible options. For example, after the discussion, patient decides to go for IVF, and then there is a discussion about their pricing and all that, and potentially what month and all that. And the status also, obviously, patient may not take a call then and there. They may want to wait for some time. So they can actually set the status as waiting here and save it so that you're actually tracking this case. Now the counselor is now tracking this case, and their job now is to make sure that it's converted over a period of next couple of weeks or maybe months. For that, there is automatically a system-driven communication mechanism that goes, and patients actually keep getting mailers on a weekly basis until that conversion is happening, or until the time when they finally say, no, we are not going for it and we are moving out. That's whatever the reason, right? The whole idea is to convert this advice into a service allocation, or for any number of reasons, if they want to move out, at least track that information as to what is the reason for movement, right? This becomes essential in terms of maximizing your conversions and measuring the counselor's effectiveness also. So this is one thing that happened based on the notes. And the second thing, as you notice, we've advised a couple of investigations, AMH and this, right? Now, if I take you to billing section, so now you can see in the billing section, estimation, there's something called estimation got created for these three items. Remember, these three are added from the notes. One is AMH, baseline scanning, and other. Now patient, assuming, goes to the billing section, right? The patient decides, I'm going for these two items. Okay. There is a confirm button, and based on the selection, you can see the amount changing here, right? So if I'm selecting all the three items, it is going to cost this much. Patient is told about this, and patient is confirmed. Okay, now this estimation got converted into a pending bill. Okay, now why is it important? It is important because whatever the doctor has advised is now visible to the billing desk, and billing person, after discussion with the patient, can actually go ahead and confirm that. Now, if I come back to the journey page, okay, you can see those investigations automatically visible here. So look at the integration aspect of it. We are taking action somewhere, results are visible here, right? Now, quickly, if I update AMH value here, okay, the report template comes up here, and for today, I'm putting some value. And I can upload document, not mandatory, but if there is anything to upload, I can do that. And
the report status is changed to completed like this, and this value is also visible. For a doctor, this value is extremely important to be made visible here itself instead of going into details. And additionally, now, since the doctor actually gave the, all these advices and everything here, they can actually keep track of what exactly is happening with their advices. For example, gonal is given, but it is not yet allocated. AMH is advised, and the report also is not now updated, and the result also can be seen here. And they can also see the report here like this. Okay. And this is how the consultation note process takes care of three different things. One is it is actually giving the doctor option to, advise various aspects of services, and then it is sending information to either counselor or nurse or billing desk to take care of their actions. Once the billing guy confirms it, the report templates get created for the nurses or counseling team to update the details. And the doctor, once the reports are updated, can see the details entirely in this same place. That's how it kind of completes the entire journey of that consultation and the follow-through actions. So this essentially covers the consultation note process, and I hope this is useful, and we'll cover the next aspects in the follow-up sessions.